Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Common Sense Crypto channel. As with you always, this is Rich doing another video today on XRP. So I hope you're all having a wonderful day today, wherever you are in this great world. We're going to talk about XRP. I'm going to start with this. The EU is preparing for blackouts this winter amid an energy crisis. An energy supply crunch tied to the war in the Ukraine could cause widespread blackouts in the EU. And this looks very bad with winter coming. But I believe we're going to experience the same thing here. And I got in an argument with someone today about this Keystone pipeline. I'm trying to explain that whatever goes through that pipeline gets exported to either China or wherever it goes. Who knows? But it doesn't help the U.S. And people keep arguing with me on that. It's not going to prevent the energy crisis that's coming after the midterm elections. House prices in the euro area are 40% higher than their 2013 post-crisis levels and 30% higher than that at their peak in 2008. The current increase in house prices is part of a longer trend stemming from the scarcity of land, which leads to monopolistic gains for its owners. Now, we have a similar problem to this also. We have realtors running around telling people they need to buy a house because there's a shortage at an all-time high, setting us up for a housing crisis which is coming. Even the Fed knows it's coming. Touting a new age of austerity in the middle of a cost of living crisis, Britain has been in a fool's paradise for too long with a very large welfare state, which must come as news to the people queuing in the utopia of their local food bank. And again, that's where we are at in the US. Whatever problems you see right now in Europe, guess what? Those are all coming here very soon. People live in denial about that. They think the government's going to fix all these problems all of a sudden. The government is creating these problems. Hundreds rally in Berlin to protest soaring energy prices. Protests have broken out across Europe in response to eye-watering energy prices and wider inflation pressures, while the continent has also seen dozens of industrial plants close because of exorbitant energy costs. And that's bad because people lose their jobs, especially with inflation and the cost of living so high right now. I wonder what the Saudis and OPEC would do if their single largest customer started using its strategic reserves instead of buying from them. Now, here in the US right now, we already tapped into the strategic reserves. And we're keeping the prices down leading into the elections, like I've said multiple times. And it was a very bad move to even do that. But now we're all going to pay for it after the elections. U.S. debt just passed $31 trillion. 10 years ago, it was $20 trillion. Anyone who thinks this debt will ever be repaid is naive. And I hear people say it all the time. Oh, the next president's going to pay off all the U.S. debt. Absolutely not. We're never paying this off. We're sinking deeper and deeper into debt. Dedollarization. The producing part of the world, 7 billion plus people, have had enough of U.S. printing trillions out of thin air and forcing others using that garbage currency. Inflation will continue to skyrocket. And I still believe we haven't seen the worst of inflation yet. I think even the Fed says more pain is to come. And the thing is, these other countries are starting to realize every time that our dollar falls a little bit, all of a sudden they got to prop it back up. And they're tired of it. Our dollar is backed by nothing but debt. De-dollarization begins. China stockpiling gold and offers a discount to India businesses if they settle in the yuan. So now they get incentives to settle in the yuan. It's a matter of time. But they are systematically going to break down the US dollar. And as that dollar collapses, I will say it again, stocks will go up and so will crypto. I believe we're going to see a massive blow off top inside of the stock market and crypto before it all comes crashing down. Will the new BRICS basket de-dollarize the global financial system? The currency market is seeing turbulent times, especially in the backdrop of the Russia-Ukraine war and tighter fiscal actions by the U.S. Fed. Hence, the BRICS launch of a new global reserve currency is seen as a move to reduce the dependence on the dollar and the euro. I believe they're already building an alternative system. I believe they're slowly creating it right now. That system can very well run on XRP. Think about it. You have to have a trust layer between China and Russia, and China and India, China and Brazil. There has to be a trust layer. That trust layer, in my opinion, is going to be XRP because they're going to want it to be fast. They're going to want it to be cheap also. Maybe BRICS introduces the world to XRP. Then the rest of the world jumps on board. Maybe that's how it's meant to happen. We'll have to wait and see. They don't need to evade. They have the BRICS nations with a currency backed by commodities. I'd say they're in better shape than most of the world. There's not enough liquidity in the entire market for Russia or the Kremlin's at large to evade sanctions with crypto. So the firm has found that $400,000 has been raised in crypto Russian paramilitary operations in the Ukraine. Now, they're saying there's not enough liquidity in the entire market for Russia to avoid sanctions. I believe that might be true. But here's the thing. XRP is on-demand liquidity. How many times have we seen this headline over the years? Nothing's stopping any country from investing their reserves in a basket of BRICS currencies, other than the lack of liquidity and free convertibility, of course. And again, if they're talking about liquidity already, guess what comes next? XRP is suddenly the liquidity provider. So that would make sense. Think about it. If liquidity is an issue inside their new financial system, the parallel system that runs side by side with the financial system we have, and they all of a sudden bring in XRP, that's a game changer. That all of a sudden puts those countries well ahead of the rest of the world. But then I believe the IMF is going to want to get in on that too. So maybe they come in with their own basket. Then all of a sudden the US jumps on board. A lot of people speculate that the US is waiting for the rest of the world to get on board with XRP before the US does. Other people are saying that's the same reason that the IMF didn't move forward yet with an ESDR. But whatever the case may be, it all leads in one direction, to the direction of what we hold, XRP. And if all these countries, say BRICS, just started using XRP today, all of a sudden the price of XRP would spike way up very fast. It would have to. It has to move all that money, so it has to be valuable. People that still sit back and say that XRP is never going to get above $10, they would be crying at that point. Because the thing is, and no matter how much FUD they pour on this, it all points in the same direction. Like when we early got into XRP in the early days, it was hard to see this. It was like, okay, well, maybe I could see a CBDC in 2025. And maybe I could see digital currencies coming up in 2025. But then everything sped along very fast. Now we're here. The times are changing. And that's why I pointed out on this channel a lot what's going on throughout the world. Like all those crises I just showed you, energy crisis, housing crisis, cost of living crisis, they're all leading us into the same direction. Every single country is headed in that direction. BRICS, I believe, is trying to avoid it. I think they're getting in front of it before it happens. Plus, they control most of the energy. With OPEC slowing down now and not producing all that oil, guess what? The U.S. is headed into an energy crisis. And people can say all they want about that Keystone pipeline, but that is an export-only pipeline for the last time. People will always come up with some alternative on how our government can bail us out because we're used to the government bailing us out. When a true liquidity crisis comes and the dollar is falling, guess what? They're going to bring in XRP one way or another because the government will no longer be able to bail us out. So with that said, I'm going to wrap up today's video. We're going to do a video probably tomorrow where I'm going to talk about the effects of de-dollarization, what can happen if that actually happens inside of the US. We're also going to talk about where I see these countries getting on board one after another with BRICS and what other countries might jump on board also. So we'll see you in the next one. Have a great night.